Continuation urgent public meeting of Parliament regarding pressing matters related to GB for June 12, 2026. Defence and Citizenship Day, JDC, on Wednesday, June 10, 2026, in Marigot. Taylor Swift becomes the youngest woman inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame at age 36. Minister of Finance secures settlement of outstanding passenger safety fees. PJ/IAE transfers to government. From the island, St. Martin, this is SXM Daily News for June 12, 2026. Continuation of the urgent public meeting of Parliament regarding pressing matters related to NVGEBE, the Prime Minister of General Affairs, Dr. Luc Mercelina, will return to Parliament to answer questions posed by the Members of Parliament in the first round. Deliberations on the pressing matters related to NVGEBE, update on the status, timelines, and disbursement of the long-awaited promised relief measures, update on VGB Supervisory Board for clarity on the current composition, mandate, and operational status of the Supervisory Board, as well as any recent or pending decisions impacting corporate governance, update on unrest by middle management to remove the CEO by a specific date, in particular, a detailed briefing on the government's position, planned interventions, and anticipated implications for the company's stability. This meeting was requested by MP Otley, MP Lacruz, MP Lewis, MP York, MP Doran, and MP Irian.
With respect to the tariff structure, it is also this government that is taking the necessary steps to ensure proper regulatory oversight. The draft legislation is now being finalized to formalize and strengthen BTP's advisory role to government regarding the tariff structure. Question 27. Can we see an exact plan of approach for the task that BTP St. Martin will be expected to take while overseeing tariff calculation and utility performance? The answer to this, Madam Chair, to you, BTP has developed a three-tier structured phased implementation framework for its utility supervisory mandate. The objective is to establish a transparent, evidence-based, and consultative process for tariff calculations. BTP met with GEBE management on June the 3rd and gave a presentation to come on June the 4th concerning subject matter. Question 28 from MP Lacruz. What mechanisms are in place to ensure that GEBE's financial statements are audited annually and transparently disclosed to the public and to Parliament? The answer to this question is the following. NVGB is required under its corporate governance framework and articles of incorporation to prepare annual financial statements that are subject to independent external audit and subsequent disclosure to its shareholder, being the government of St. Martin, and of course also to Parliament. The Supervisory Board has oversight responsibility to ensure that these audits are conducted and that the outcome are reported transparently. The preparation and audit of annual accounts were significantly delayed following the 2022 cyber attack, which disrupted core financial system and historical data integrity. As a result, the company prioritized restoring systems, validating data, and re-establishing reliable financial reporting processes before finalizing outstanding accounts. Despite these challenges, NVGB has reaffirmed its commitment to timely and transparent financial reporting. The audited 2023 financial statements have now been completed and are available, and the 2024 financial statements are currently being finalized, demonstrating a return to a normalized audit cycle. Importantly, both the 2023 and the 2024 audit are are regarded as clean audits, providing assurance regarding the accuracy and the reliability of the reported financial information. Moving now to question number 29. Why were audited financials not available during the tariff evaluation? That is question number 29 from MP La Cruz. The reference is understood to relate to the RAC tariff review, which took place during a period when NVGB's audited financial statements were not yet finalized. The unavailability of audited financials at that time was primarily the result of the 2022 cyber attack, which significantly disrupted GB's financial system and delayed the preparation, validation, and audit of annual accounts. These impacts and the resulting audit delays have been formally reported to Parliament and publicly acknowledged by the company. Since then, GEBE has made substantial progress in restoring audit regulatories. The audited 2023 financial statement has now been ensured and are transparent and properly informed to the shareholder, and a fair and a sustainable tariff system is now being worked on for the consumers. Question 31. What is the rationale behind the 400% discrepancy between domestic and commercial water tariffs? And is there a plan to reassess this cross-subsidization? That means the pricing different groups between the individual consumers and the commercial ones. The answer to this question is the following. Recognizing this structural imbalance, NGBE has initiated a comprehensive tariff study. This study proposes to eliminate the differential treatment by applying the water fuel clause equally across all customer categories, thereby aligning tariffs more closely with actual cost drivers. The study is intended to support a policy decision by the government and the regulator on whether and how to modernize the tariff framework. Any adjustment would be considered in the context of affordability, social impact, and the long-term financial sustainability of water services rather than as standalone technical change. Question number 32. What is the government's strategy to resolve the ongoing disagreement between GEBE and SOL regarding fuel supply terms, which poses operational and environmental risk, seeing the monopoly that SOL has on St. Martin? Madam Chair, the current discussion between GEBE and SOL is naturally influenced by the fact that GEBE is operating under temporary management and with a newly appointed supervisory board. Those conditions affect the pace and structure of negotiation with any supplier. What is important, Madam Chair, is that government is not approaching this as a political dispute, but as a matter of regulation and long-term stability. The government, through the Minister of TIAD, is already working on a structural plan to strengthen GB's position in the fuel supply chain and to reduce vulnerabilities that come from reliance on a single provider. That work is ongoing and will be brought forward once finalized. In the meantime, government's focus is ensuring continuity of supply, safeguarding public interest, and supporting GB as internal governance stabilizes. Question number 33 from MP La Cruz. When will the fuel price for electricity generation, the LFO and HFO, be regulated under the existing prijzenverordening framework as is done for gasoline and LPG? Madam Chair, this question touches on a highly complex area of economic regulations. As government, our goal is to ensure price stability and consumer protection across all fuel segments in St. Martin. However, through you, Madam Chair, we must recognize that regulating consumer retail fuel at a gas station pump is fundamentally different from regulating macro-industrial imports used for national power generation. Industrial utility fuels are tied to large-scale international procurement, bulk maritime logistics, and supply agreements. Expansion of the price regulation under the prijzenverordening must be backed by exhaustive economic data to ensure we do not create unintended disruption in the country's fuel supply chain. The Ministry of TIAT, which holds the legal and technical portfolio for price controls and economic regulation, is currently conducting the necessary data collection and financial reviews. Because this requires precise financial modeling and verification, we cannot state definitively that this is a route government will take. However, we are prioritizing accuracy over speed to protect the public interest. As soon as the Ministry of TIAT finalizes its technical assessment and presents a data-backed framework to the Council of Ministers, the appropriate executive decision can be formally considered.
Minister of Finance Marinka Gums has confirmed that the government has received approximately 6.5 million from Princess Juliana International Airport Operating Company, PJIAE, representing passenger safety fees collected on behalf of the government from 2019 through the first quarter of 2026. The payment follows the successful resolution of long-standing discussions regarding outstanding passenger safety fee transfers and brings PJIAE fully up to date with its obligations to the government. I welcome this payment of approximately 6.5 million, which brings PJIAE fully up to date in terms of the transfer of passenger safety fees collected on behalf of government. This outcome ensures that these public funds are now properly accounted for and available for their intended purpose, Minister Gums stated. The passenger safety fee was introduced to support civil aviation oversight within Sint Maarten. While the envisioned Civil Aviation Authority has not yet been formally established, these responsibilities continue to be carried out by the Department of Civil Aviation under the Ministry of Tourism, Economic Affairs, Transport and Telecommunication. Minister Gums confirmed that the funds will be safeguarded and reserved for aviation-related purposes until such time as the Civil Aviation Authority becomes operational. These monies were collected specifically to support aviation oversight and safety. It is therefore important that they remain available for that purpose. The funds will be held in a dedicated account pending the establishment of the Civil Aviation Authority, ensuring that they can be utilized for the continued strengthening of civil aviation oversight in Sint Maarten. The Minister expressed appreciation to PJIAE and all stakeholders involved in bringing the matter to a successful conclusion. This resolution demonstrates the value of constructive engagement and responsible financial stewardship. More importantly, it reflects the government's commitment to ensuring that revenues collected on its behalf are properly transferred, accounted for, and safeguarded in the interest of the people of Sint Maarten.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah, your social health insurances.
News from Marigot, the Defense and Citizenship Day was organized in its new format at the Émile Choisy School and in the Sports Hall of Vanterpool Stadium on Wednesday, June 10. Executive Advisor Martine Beldor, First Vice President Alain Richardson, Prefect Cyril Levelli, and Lieutenant Colonel Steve Richard were present to encourage and accompany the young participants. Martine Beldor encouraged young participants to fully invest in the lives of their territory, underlining the importance of citizen engagement. She also emphasized the quality of exchanges and the enthusiasm of the young people for the new format of the JDC, which wants to be more dynamic and attractive. Intended to strengthen the will to defend French young people, this day of awareness has been articulated around the principle 7 hours, 7 strong temps. The program included a ceremony of colors accompanied by a reading of the Charter of Rights and Duties of the Citizen, a sports laser shooting workshop, tests of the talent and skill. You play the role of the end of the defense, a meal in the form of a military ration, the services of the collectivity, the prefecture, the national education, the CPE, and the gendarmerie also attended the workshops, the objective being to highlight this mandatory step for all French young people between 16 and 25 years old. Defense Citizenship Day replaces the old military service and allows you to discover the world of defense, the profession of the army, and citizen values. Nearly 800,000 French people are called to perform their JDC each year. In Saint-Martin, 105 young people were summoned on Wednesday, June 10th, and 8 JDCs will take place in the year 2026. Martine Beldor would like to applaud the work of Thierry Gomes and Corinne Pinault from the Population Services Directorate for this captivating immersive experience and the opportunity to measure in real time the reach of JDCs for young people beyond their mandatory nature. Dr. Luc Mercelina, Prime Minister of General Affairs, our current democracy to withhold another minister's advice from the cause of ministers. The answer is my last presentation, the Chair of the Council, on the establishment of the agenda in accordance with Article 16 of the Council of Ministers Rules of Order. In that context, any advice from any minister can be discussed before it's added to the agenda. The Prime Minister spoke in the House of Parliament.
What are the legal powers that the Prime Minister has in our current democracy to withhold another minister's advice from the Council of Ministers? The answer is, as mentioned in my last presentation, the Chair of the Council of Ministers is the one who decides on the establishment of the agenda in accordance with Article 16 of the Council of Ministers Rules of Order. In that context, any advice of any minister can be discussed before it's added to the agenda. In this specific case, there were multiple discussions with the former Minister of VSA on agenda points for the HCPR, for the BIG, And in such case, as long there was no clarity, it would not go on the agenda of the Council of Ministers meeting. Question 13. I will give the Prime Minister another opportunity to motivate, possibly to us, why, other than I knew the person, was this person working illegally as a general practitioner, and was the person registered as a ER doctor? It is important to clarify that mention of knowing this person was in a professional capacity. So I knew this person in a professional capacity. I have worked as a professional in the hospital with this doctor, and such I'm familiar with her professionalism, her knowledge, skills, and credentials. These credentials were also part of the advice. Once again, as Prime Minister and Acting Minister of VSA, I was brought an advice for approval brought to my attention by the VSA Cabinet. Moreover, I received a negative advice for a denial of the renewal of an exemption that had previously been granted to the doctor in February 2022. Based on the advice that was presented to me and the underlying documents, I did not agree with the advice to deny the extension of the exemption. One of these underlying documents was an advice from the Health Council that stated they had no objection, and that is the document that I have to send now to Parliament. The Health Council states that there is no objection of the doctor being established as a doctor, a house doctor, provided that she works under the supervision of a house doctor. That is what the advice of the Council of Health was in that time. By the way, and now that is for you to understand this whole difficult concept of house doctor and GP. The Health Council sends an advice and say we have no problem for this doctor to work as a doctor in a family practice under one condition, that she is being supervised now by a house doctor. So she has been placed in a family practice from a family doctor. And if we understand the dynamics, this doctor now that has been working, I think, more than 20 to 25 years, very respected, knowledgeable, and qualified doctor, is a doctor that does not have the certificate to be a family doctor, but still is practicing as a general practitioner. Under this knowledge, it has been accepted by those before me too. So we are giving an advice, we approve it, and then all of a sudden, if you know, you understand that the older doctor that is working in that practice does not have the required papers that nowadays they are putting because they want to follow the Dutch system. But that does not mean because all of a sudden the Dutch system say only family doctors specialized in family medicine can execute that work. That doesn't mean the one that has been doing it 15 to 20 years in that time, not having that specialization, all of a sudden at that particular moment becomes unqualified. So we have to understand the dynamics, how in generally this system works.
Now for the weather forecast tonight through Saturday midday. Partly cloudy with light haze and brief showers possible. Surface winds tonight through Saturday midday. East-southeasterly with a light to moderate breeze at 7 to 14 mph. State of the sea. Slight waves, swells, 2 to 4 feet outlook through Sunday midday. Partly cloudy with light haze and brief showers possible. And now your 3-day forecast.
SXM, your social and health insurance. SXM, your social and health insurance.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, your social and health insurance.
Swift started her speech by acknowledging Spielberg. "Because of examples like Stevens, I trusted my imagination," she said. The Gen Z singer Somba launched Swift's segment by performing Cardigan and Dear John in front of her. Swift has brought new eyes to this year's ceremony and undeniably shaped contemporary pop music trends with her songwriting. Swift is the youngest woman inducted, but Stevie Wonder, who started his recording career at 13, was the youngest ever inducted. It was announced on stage. It was a notable moment in an evening full of them, where Swift kisses Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley, Christopher "Tricky" Stewart, Alanis Morissette, Kenny Loggins, and more were honored. A night of celebrating songwriters, Tamar Braxton opened the gala at the Marriott Marquis Hotel in New York City with a spirited tribute to a new inductee, the game-changing R&B songwriter, producer and rapper Christopher "Tricky" Stewart, with one of the biggest songs he's known for, Beyoncé's Single Ladies. He's also responsible for singer-songwriter Rihanna's Umbrella, Mariah Carey's Touch My Body, and Justin Bieber's Baby. Dallas Austin, a songwriter and producer known for work with Boyz II Men and Madonna, introduced Stewart. "Think about that catalog," he said, listing off those zeitgeist-shifting records. "Those are cultural moments." Kiss founders Simmons and Stanley, 2.5 years after the band's farewell, were also recognized for their glam rock classics, Rock and Roll All Night and I Love It Loud. The Smashing Pumpkins' Billy Corgan covered the former, a fittingly fiery introduction for the band. He was joined by Goo Goo Dolls' frontman, John Rzeznik, for the latter. Simmons wasn't present. Stanley said that he had a family emergency. "Songs are the messenger," he said, "the foundation of every show." Soft rock legend Kenny Loggins, Footloose, Danny's song, and the alt-rock icon Morissette were also inducted. For the latter, Brandi Carlile performed uninvited alongside Sister Strings before introducing Morissette. "Writing to me is not a hobby," Morissette said. "It's critical. It's write or die." Then she performed Mary Jane and You Ought to Know from her 1995 album, Jagged Little Pill. For Loggins, Gavin DeGraw performed Danny's song before Loggins told the story behind the tune in his acceptance speech. Acknowledging writers and their hits, Taylor Dane and Madison Cunningham performed Tina Turner classics written by Terry Britton and Graham Lyle in honor of their induction. John Fogerty was honored with the Johnny Mercer Award. "I got my songs back," Fogerty said, ending a nearly 30-minute speech, referencing the fact that he won the rights back to his catalog at age 80. Then he ran through a medley of his hits: Proud Mary, Fortunate Son, and Have You Ever Seen the Rain Among Them? The songwriter Walter Afanasieff, Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You, was also recognized, a segment that began with an introduction by actor Jeremy Renner and included a monster medley of his biggest songs by R&B singer Shalea, kicking off with his Christmas classic 6 months early. "I wanted to be the Beatles," he said of falling in love with songwriting in his speech. 60 years later, I got to produce Paul McCartney. The Songwriters Hall of Fame was established in 1969 to honor those creating popular music. A songwriter with a notable catalog of songs qualifies for induction 20 years after the first commercial release of a song. Some already in the hall include Gloria Estefan, Carole King, Paul Simon, Billy Joel, John Bon Jovi, and Richie Sambora, Elton John and Bernie Taupin, Brian Wilson, James Taylor, Bruce Springsteen, Tom Petty, Lionel Richie, Bill Withers, Neil Diamond, and Phil Collins.
This is our SXM Daily Newscast. Thank you for joining us.